Ladies and gentlemen, today we reflect on a trilogy of tragedies that changed the course of American history. The assassinations of President John F. Kennedy, Senator Robert F. Kennedy, and Reverend Dr. Martin Luther King Jr. 3 men, 3 bullets, 3 moments frozen in time, and behind them a long, dark shadow of doubt that has never quite disappeared. Let us begin with President John F. Kennedy, assassinated on November 22, 1963, in Dallas, Texas. The official story, as concluded by the Warren Commission, is that a lone gunman, Lee Harvey Oswald, fired 3 shots from the 6th floor of the Texas School Book Depository. But almost immediately, Americans began to question that narrative. How could a former Marine with an average marksmanship record fire 3 accurate shots in under 6 seconds with a bolt-action rifle? Why did witnesses report shots coming from the grassy knoll? Why was Oswald murdered 2 days later by Jack Ruby, a nightclub owner with alleged mafia ties? And then there's the missing context: the Cold War, the CIA's battles with Castro, Kennedy's pushback against military and intelligence establishments, and even alleged links between Oswald and U.S. intelligence. Over the years, countless alternative theories emerged: the mafia, anti-Castro Cubans, rogue CIA elements, and even members within the government. Whether or not one believes these theories, one thing is clear: the full truth has remained elusive, and that uncertainty laid the foundation for a generation's mistrust in government. Just 5 years later, the nation was rocked again by the assassination of Dr. Martin Luther King Jr., April 4, 1968, in Memphis, Tennessee. James Earl Ray, a convicted felon, was arrested and pleaded guilty to avoid the death penalty. But he would later recant his confession, claiming he was set up. King's family publicly doubted the official version. In 1999, in a wrongful death civil trial, a jury even concluded that Dr. King was the victim of a conspiracy involving government agencies. That trial received little media attention, and yet it remains part of the official court record. King was not just a dreamer. In his final years, he was a critic of the Vietnam War and an advocate for economic justice, planning a poor people's campaign that threatened the political status quo. Was his growing influence a threat to powerful interests? Again, we are left with questions. Not just about the trigger man, but about the machinery behind the scenes. The intelligence agencies, the surveillance, the infiltration of civil rights movements. Was this just one man's act, or was it part of something larger? Then came Robert F. Kennedy, gunned down in June 1968 while campaigning for president, just 2 months after King's death. He had just won the California primary and was poised to challenge the establishment, perhaps even carrying the torch of his fallen brother. Sirhan Sirhan, a 24-year-old Palestinian, was arrested at the scene. He admitted to the shooting but claimed to have no memory of the event. Witnesses said he fired from the front. Yet the fatal shot came from behind RFK's right ear, fired at close range. That shot could not have come from Sirhan's position. Multiple eyewitnesses reported more shots fired than Sirhan's gun could hold. Were there 2 shooters, a conspiracy, or just confusion in the chaos of the moment? RFK, like his brother, had made enemies, not just politically, but among powerful institutions. He had taken on organized crime, challenged the Vietnam War, and represented a shift toward progressive leadership that threatened entrenched power structures. All 3 of these assassinations have something in common: official conclusions that leave many unsatisfied, evidence that seems inconsistent or incomplete, and a long trail of classified documents, redacted files, and unanswered questions. Now, I want to be clear. Conspiracy theories must be handled carefully. They can be dangerous, manipulative, and misleading, but they also emerge from the gaps, from places where the truth has been buried, denied, or obscured. Americans are not drawn to conspiracy out of fantasy, but out of a desperate desire to understand, to make sense of violence that tore away their brightest hopes. When leaders who spoke of peace, justice, and equality are cut down in their prime, we demand to know why. And when the answers feel incomplete, suspicion takes root. These stories are more than history. They are wounds, open, unhealed, and pulsing with meaning. They tell us something about power, secrecy, and the lengths to which some will go to preserve control. And perhaps most importantly, they remind us of the fragility of hope. JFK once said, "The ignorance of one voter in a democracy impairs the security of all." But what happens when voters no longer believe in the system at all? When transparency is lost and truth is filtered through layers of bureaucracy and classified files? We must not become prisoners of cynicism, but neither can we afford to be naive. If these three leaders taught us anything, it is that change is hard, dangerous, and often met with resistance from unexpected places. So today, let us remember JFK's vision of a new frontier. Let us honor RFK's courage in speaking truth to power, and let us never forget Dr. King's dream. Not the sanitized version, but the radical dream of equality, economic justice, and peace. And let us demand truth, not just for the past, but for the future. Because only through truth can a nation truly heal.